Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It gives me great pleasure to be here to share my journey that is still in the making with so many great minds here in the room. As a marketer and as a researcher, it gives me an opportunity to be exposed to latest trends in marketing, that is neuromarketing. Also, I have been taking a big task. A lot of you might agree with me, and it is one of the hardest jobs in the world, which is being a good parent. It's not just a parent, being a good parent. So when these three words collided, which is the academic, also the professional, and the personal life, this area of research came to life, which is the impact of neuromarketing advertising on children, intended and unintended effects. To explain more about neuromarketing and the advertising world, I would like to show you a small video, okay, which was the technical difficulty that we had. Okay, so, huh? Yeah, I'm the one who created the whole fuss. Okay, so let me just open it. This is the first one. Is it? I'll try to. Okay, so duplicate. It's fine. Okay, now. Yeah. Wait, it's not working. That's the angel of death.
Sorry. Sorry.
He didn't die. Okay, so do you notice anything different about this ad? Anything in particular? Anything at all? Could be nothing. Do you notice anything? Yes, doctor. Yeah, it's a sarcastic way of dealing with things. It's one of the advertising techniques. But actually what I was trying to say that in order to do this advertising, you have been studied as a human being, your reactions, your responses, your body temperature, your eye, how your eye is reacting in order for this ad to be live. Okay, so this ad has been tested over and over again by use of neuromarketing, and it is effective, and it was one of the most well-received ads in the year it was launched. And I can prove it for you that, yeah, it has been done by neuromarketing. You can see the colors represent where the eye they are looking, the participants, okay? And there are some responses. You can see from the gauge, the emotional, the temperature of the skin, and you can see when the angel of death is there, and there is a hike, there is a spike, and then there is some sort of engagement, and then there is a drop, sudden drop of emotions when they see that the man is safe, okay? And then you'll see that they are focusing on the facial expressions of the man, and then they will be focusing on the brand and what is written in there, which is actually what we want from you. Okay, so you've been studied in order for this to come to life. Okay, so in other words, this is basically, in a nutshell, what is neuromarketing is all about, is creating more effective advertising. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation. So neuromarketing now is the hot new trend, and many companies are jumping on the bandwagon of neuromarketing. So many companies such as CBS, Disney included, Google, which owns YouTube. Okay, I'm stating these companies on purpose. Frito-Lay, which is the chips company, if you remember, and the television, and some political candidates as well. They are using neuromarketing in order to make better advertising. Neural techniques are paving the way for marketers to probe into brains in order to create the correct responses for the advertising, hence leading to a favorable attitude towards the advertising or the company or even the political candidate in some cases. In addition, diversity marketing recognizes the influence of culture, backgrounds, values, beliefs, lifestyles. But they say hypothetically that neuromarketing can skip through all of that clutter, through the clutter of focus groups and responses and, I don't know, questionnaires, and go straight to your mind and actually know what you are thinking and how you feel and what is your exact response to some advertising or a brand. As such, by neuromarketing, advertising will be overcome many limitations. Okay, one of them is diversity marketing, so basically segmentation and everything. So they don't have to segment everything and create specific products for specific people. It will lessen their effort. Okay, that's why they are advocating to have more and more neuromarketing techniques embedded in each ad. Although the idea of using neural techniques is very attractive and very appealing, and it can be very rewarding, and it's a billions dollar industry. But there we have to discover the other side of the coin. As a researcher, I was going into the field with some preconceptions, but I had to stand rather neutralized. So I have to see the other side of the coin. It's not just the good and the bad, also the ugly. Okay, so there are some potential harm introduced by use of neuromarketing for commercial purposes, of course, especially when it comes to the niche vulnerable population. By niche vulnerable population, I mean the people with psychological disease, okay, mental disease, and also children, which is my focus. The field has been criticized heavily in many aspects, especially ethically when it comes to children. Researchers and other concerned parties, not just researchers, have voiced their concern regarding this issue. Okay, some argued with me that maybe actually these big companies such as Disney, they don't use neuromarketing. Well, let me show you. Okay, just a second. Again. Okay, this one. It is this one.
Over the years, Disney PwR has taken you on amazing journey.
You can see these are actual responses of children for the movie Up, which was one of the most successful movies of Pixar and Disney together.
And he won't even have to leave his house.
Anyway, we don't have to watch the whole ad, it's just an evidence. Actually, this was launched in 2009, so you can see how far they come till 2017. So it has been practiced since 2009, and all of our children has been susceptible to such neural techniques. Okay, so which slide we are in? Yeah, we are here. Okay. Advertising to children. So when it comes to neuromarketing, we have to look at the broader aspect, which is advertising, in order to get some background and foundation for us to build on. So I had to go back to advertising, which is under the neuromarketing is under the umbrella of advertising. There are so many leaders and pioneers in this area, advertising, and they are saying when it comes to children that we have two paradigms, the empowered child paradigm and the vulnerable child paradigm. So for the empowered child paradigm, they think that, or they see the child as an empowered or an individual who can actually think, analyze, and take decisions in order to purchase something or tell their parents to purchase something. So they can actually think, feel things, and then they put it into action. And for the vulnerable paradigm, it means that the children are not aware that this is an ad, and they will actually believe it's true, and they will fall for whatever the ad will tell them. Okay, so we have two paradigms. So the aim of this research is to assess the impact of advertisement on children by examining both intended and unintended effects in the context of neuromarketing. So for the intended factors, which is the empowered child paradigm, we have so many models, one of them being IDA, hierarchy of effects, Dagmar. They are all the same, almost, in fact, that they have the cognitive effects, affective effects, and behavioral effects. It means that the child, if he or she are empowered, they will be able to think, analyze, have emotions, and then they have the intent to purchase. And they actually know that this is an ad, and they know it might not be true. But for the unintended effects, one of the pioneers in this area, which is Dr. Boysen, in her PhD in 2003, she created a model and her successors used this model successfully and added to it. She said that usually these factors, that the unintended factors, are being parent-child conflict, unhealthy eating habits, materialism, and disappointment and frustration. So there are 4 factors. Okay, so the vulnerable child will not understand that this is an ad. This might create a conflict between the parent and the child, because the child will be nagging to get this item or whatever the service or product they are providing. Also for materialism, it basically means that the child will derive their happiness from materialistic items, from products and services. They will connect love, like loving their parents, or having respect from their peers by having materialistic stuff. For the unhealthy eating habits, it means that basically they will eat things that are not healthy because ads are telling them to, or even like television, like programs and this stuff. Also disappointment and frustration when they get the toy or they get the product or service and it does not perform as the ad, because they believe the ad is true. When it does not perform like the ad, they will have some disappointment and frustration. Of course, a lot of people have voiced their concerns when it comes to that. Also, the group of psychiatrists from the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, they said that there is a fine line between influencing as a marketer and exploiting children. And you are now in the area of exploiting children. Psychologists such as researchers, they get data from the field of neurology and create strategies intended to help marketers to achieve goals and sell more, basically. And this is, and they want to get to the primitive brain, which is basically unimaginable for basic thinking and successful decision making happen while viewing the advertising. They want to reach to the buy button. Of course, it's hypothetical. It's still not proven that they can actually reach the buy button, but it is a possibility. Okay, so this is the conceptual framework of the study, and I don't know if you can see it from this way. I have a big voice, so I think you can hear me all. So for the model, okay, so children exposure to neuromarketing ads will have intended and unintended effects. For the intended effects discussed by the models of advertising, cognitive effects, affective effect, which is emotional, and behavioral effects. And for the unintended effects, which is the unhealthy eating habits, materialism, frustration, and disappointment, also parent and child conflict. So these are, you can see from the arrows, these are the hypotheses, and then two extra hypotheses, which is the overall effect of neuromarketing exposure, which is hypothesis 9 and hypothesis 8, which is a positive effect on advertising intended, if there is a positive effect on advertising, of advertising on children. So these are the hypothesis. I think we should skip them for now. If you have questions, then we will go back to them. For the methodology and expected findings, since I still did not collect information, so the research is intending to perform quantitative analysis, distributing questionnaires to parents of children between ages of 4 to 12, using purposive sampling, of course. I chose the age gap because so many researchers, including Walkenberg, she said in her research that the age of proper response for advertising is from 4, and of course then 12 is the after 12 there will be like they're all aware that these are advertising, so there will be no use of having them or questioning them about unintended effects. So this is proven by literature. So for the expected findings, findings will shed light on which factors, intended versus unintended, have more power on children. Based on that, conclusions, recommendations will be established. So for my conclusion, I want to emphasize that our children are our most prized possessions. They are not possessions, they are our legacy. So if they are subjected from infancy to neuromarketing, this is just not correct, but it can be used for the greater good. If we can use it for the greater good and it actually works, then why not? So this research will have it can spark change in social aspects. It could be in the legal aspect if we are going to create more robust ethical codes, and also it can add to the profession itself and of course to the body of literature by the end of this research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amani. Well done.
Questions?
We'll open the floor. Yes, Dr. Dorothy.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the presentation, which is really good because you really engage the audience, and I enjoy watching the advert at the beginning. But my question was, what is really the key difference between neuro marketing advertisement than the other advertisement?
Yes. Okay. So for the advertising, it is usually you use when you are creating the advertising, you use usual methods for testing the appeal of the advertising. You will have focus groups, you will ask people, and you will have a questionnaire, what do you think of the ad, before airing the ad. But for neuromarketing, they will not use focus groups. They will just hook you into an EEG or fMRI machine, and they will test your response directly.
Which is a very good point, because neuromarketing is just to test. It's just one way of testing the effectiveness of advert. It's actually not the way the advert is created.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you need to differentiate that.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So in a way, when you're talking about neuromarketing advertising's impact on children, what you are actually saying is advertising's impact on children.
Yes.
Evaluated through neuromarketing.
It is created using neural techniques in the sense
It's
of...
not created using neural technique. It's created and then testified, validated
Yes.
by neural technique. So
Yes.
you need to be aware of this difference.
Okay.
Because in effect, what you're talking about, advertising's impact on children, there's a lot of existing literature. It's actually one of this very well-researched topic in communications back in the 80s and 90s. And in a way, it hasn't really, the key argument that we all know that advertising has negative impact on children, the unintended one.
Yes.
It's always been there. So I guess you need to find a different angle to say where neuromarketing comes in and how those adverts being testified and validated through neuromarketing will have an even worse impact on children, or would it be just the same? Because in a way, I feel that effective advertising, well, if it's targeting children, it tends to be ask children to take more sweets, to buy toys, to wanting new things, and they are effective from the marketer's perspective. But might not be the kind of perspective where parents agree. Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess you need to differentiate this, and your debate needs to engage with existing literature better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. Professor?
Okay, so look,
Yes.
I was completely fascinated by that. I've got a couple of things. One is just about you're trying to pack too much into the presentation, I think, in various ways, because you need to unpack.
Yeah.
Dorothy's put her fingers on, you know, it's an absolutely fascinating topic. So the first thing I'd say is that you seem to be slipping between saying that there is evidence and causal relationship between this, and then sort of saying...
Sorry, again?
Well, you seem to be slightly slipping. At one point you said that there was a causal relationship between this kind of advertising and what you called the buy button. And then at other points you pointed out that there isn't really the evidence that the causal relationship.
They are trying to reach
Right,
it.
Can I just...
Yes.
What was worrying me slightly about it was the lovely diagrams you showed, which were absolutely fascinating. Where do they come from?
What do you mean?
Well, the two videos you showed with the neural imaging patterns, where do they come from?
You mean like the actual source or the company who made them?
Yes, both.
The source is YouTube, okay? You can find it. It's like,
Right.
it's not a secret that these companies are using it. And also, they are proud of it. And there are some companies that are specified, like Neurofocus, and there is another Bright House, okay? These are companies that are focused on using neuromarketing in a commercial way. And so if you have a company and you want to create a neuromarketing enhanced ad, then you can go to them and they will create it for you.
Okay, so isn't there a risk then that the evidence you're actually citing is from the companies to actually sell their products? So in fact, it's not in fact proof of anything at all. It's merely a pretty set of pictures of neural movement around the brain.
Well, you have an argument there, but as the literature say that there is an effect, okay, and it is actually working, and there have been experiments that say, well, and if you are using the regular marketing, it might fail because you are not generating the correct response, because sometimes customers cannot explain what there's in their head and actually articulate it, and some points they lie, or sometimes they don't want to share this information, and other times they will write things that you might want them to write. So they want to please you in some way because there is some prize or something. Because some questionnaires, they will tell you, well, if you finish this questionnaire, we'll give you this and that. So usually these questionnaires are not accurate as like a biometric, okay, testing method. So here's the thing, the literature already proven that it is more effective than the regular ones, okay, and other literature says that you can use them in conjunction, so one will complete the other. So you can validate the, whatever you have from questionnaires and focus groups by use of neuromarketing. Okay. Yeah, it's not just you. It's a rather controversial area of research, and it is very young, since 2004. Yes.
Okay, can I just remind you, Amani?
Yes.
Neuromarketing, I think we get this too confused, because advertising is created and then its effectiveness could be tested and validated
Yeah.
through neuromarketing.
Yes.
It's not saying neuromarketing creates the advertising.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so in a way you need to be clear there, and
Yeah.
hence your argument, because when you're arguing back to what James proposed, you were saying neuromarketing creates more effective advertising. No,
It's just I have to mind my words.
it
Okay.
just creates a more effective way of measuring
Yeah.
the effectiveness of advertising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Dalia?
Yes, Dalia. Dr. Dalia, yes.
Thank you, Amani, for your presentation.
Yes.
I felt that you already engaged all in your presentation. Regarding the ads, because this is the application of your point, can you clarify for us what are the aspects or the points they are stressed on while they are developing the adverts?
I didn't get it. I cannot hear you.
What are the factors or the points they are stressing on while they are developing the adverts? So, as for us here in the room, we can differentiate this is an advertisement which is stimulating the neuromarketing theme or not.
Well, you are not meant to know that this advertising has been tested for effectiveness by neuromarketing. You're not meant to know. But since we are all professional in this room, that's why I asked if you see or notice any difference, because you shouldn't. It's just for the technical background. While developing the ad, okay, they use neuromarketing in order to test its effectiveness.
What are the points they are targeting in our brain?
Yeah, this is a very good question. There are so many, because there are not doctors here, but in there's the limbic system. Okay, there are. So there are some areas in the brain they have to light up. For example, I'll tell you an example. If you are advertising for us as professionals, if we are advertising insurance products, we have to ignite fear of the future, fear of death, fear of injury. Anyway, it's fear. Okay, so we have to ignite fear in your brain, in the area of the brain, in order for you to purchase insurance. But of course, there is level of fear. We cannot exceed it, otherwise you'll panic. So there is some certain level of fear it has to be achieved. So in order to do that, it's easier to test through neuromarketing when you, for example, see the ad and there is a spark in this area that is representing fear. Yes?
Okay, last two, you can continue. Let us give one more chance for our PhD students.
Sorry, I can't.
I want to listen from our students. Yalla.
All right. Sorry.
Hi, Mohammed.
Sorry about that. Hi.
Sorry.
Amani.
Yes, Mohammed.
A small question, please. And this is to follow up on the comment from Professor James.
Yes.
Don't you think that neuromarketing is just a tool? Like marketing is exercised everywhere, and it is used almost everywhere nowadays. And don't you think that if it is used by all of these big organizations, then it is just a tool similar to any other, and it influences our perception similar to any other tool? Why would you say otherwise?
Okay, Mohammed. Well, as you said, advertising is everywhere. Even you, if you come here, you try to sell us your research, right? So advertising is everywhere, and I'm aware of that. Which leads to your question. Why do they go for that? First of all, because they became desperate for because there is vast amount of marketing and advertising efforts everywhere. From your house till here, maybe you pass thousands of advertising without even knowing. How can we stand out from all of these cluttered and all these advertising? I want to grab your attention, Mohammed. Okay, so how can I do that? Okay, so the regular advertising is not working for me, so I'm seeking a new technology. I'm not saying it's perfect, nobody's saying it's that, but it is a try, or for example, it is a cry for help maybe, or maybe an attempt to go further with the advertising, making it more effective. These companies lose billions a year on product failures, launch failures. So they are trying to cut back on these failures by probing into the brain. Not saying that this is correct, not saying that this is ethical, and not saying that everybody will do that because it's expensive, to be honest.
We want to stop here. We will continue with her, Mohammed, outside, please, because everybody seems to be want to ask. We want to stop here, but we'll give the floor for one question for Professor Bakr and one for Tilal, and we will close.
Yes,
and then we will continue outside.
Yes, Professor.
Thank you very much. This was very, very interesting.
Yes.
I enjoyed it, and as I said, we were all engaged.
Yeah.
But as you were presenting, I'm not in this area, so excuse me. The subliminal marketing, I used to hear about it a lot.
Yes.
Is this
It's a really, really good question, Professor Becker, and I would like to answer that. Well, there was a theory that's called the magic bullet. Magic bullet is basically the stealth marketing or the subconscious marketing. They were trying to do that with neuromarketing, but you have to understand, as Dr. Dorothy said, that it is a tool. It's not actually creating the ad itself. They are testing it. They are trying to push the limits for them to actually use neuromarketing to reach subliminal level, but till now research and literature has not proven that. But they are trying. There are a lot of literature saying that they are trying to reach the subconscious level, but not successful yet. So it is under the umbrella, and it has been like talked about in the literature.
Last question, Tilal.
Actually, this is not a question, it's a comment.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The presentation was very passionate,
Yeah.
but I think that's stemming from the fact that you're almost biased and you're almost in a crusade to save the children from neuromarketing. So that's the feeling I get when you give this presentation. It's almost like this one big dark way of creating advertisement, and you want to, save our children from. So I think that obviously, you can be passionate about your research, and if you're doing qualitative research, you can also be biased, but you also need to be more objective in trying to assess the components of your research, because that will allow you to have a focus, because you started with something and you probably ended with something slightly bigger than what you can put on a plate.
Exactly.
And time is ticking. I don't want an answer now, but I think you need to think about this. Thank you.
I'd like to
Thank you,
Amani very
Doctor.
much.
Thank you, everybody.
I'd like to